Well, sometimes you have some slow news days on Wall Street, and we don't have a lot to talk about on this show. But today is not one of those days. We have a lot of big moves this morning to discuss. FedEx delivers with some strong earnings. Market doesn't seem to care too much. We've got big news in Rivian. If you've been a bag holder in Rivian like I have, this is a huge morning. But I have a couple thoughts about this that I'd like to talk about today on the show. You got Rivian. We've got news in Whirlpool as well. We'll discuss that. So again, big news day here on PreMarket Prep. Let's go ahead and get it started. Welcome to Benzinga's PreMarket Prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. Let's go ahead and welcome in Joel and take a look at Mr. Elconin's charts. Joel, how are we doing this morning?
We're doing well this morning. Nice range overnight. If someone has a catalyst for why we are 16 handles off that pre-market high, let me know. I didn't find anything, but down $1.50 at 55.35.5. The dollar showing some strength here, taking out the highs at 105, up 40 cents at 105.65. TLT taking a hit, down 85 cents at 93.65. Crude back up over 81, up 47 cents at 81.30. Gold in the red by 540 at 23.25.30. Silver going the opposite direction, up 43 cents, 29.30. And Bitcoin having a little bit of a red day, down $620 at 61,435. Let's bring in Triple D. 1 day, 2 days removed here. One from
You're gonna bring it back up, Joel. We were past it.
I literally was trying to forget about it all day.
Joel.
And it's just in your face. I go to my Twitter feed because I follow hockey stuff, and the Stanley Cup is just parading around Florida. It's in the Atlantic Ocean. It's in the Kachucks. Keith Kachuk driving a golf cart at 7 a.m. with Matthew and Brady in the back. And then Matthew Kachuk just bragging and making fun of the Oilers because he's just a jerk. I mean, I'm just so upset about it. And then you bring it up. I finally, wake up this morning. And I'm like, oh, it's sunny out. Been raining here for days. And I'm like, it's going to be a good day. And it was a good day until Joel just mentioned the Oilers.
Let's try it again.
Never mention the Oilers ever again. Hockey is dead to me.
How about that Amazon selling balance yesterday, Dennis? Was that yesterday? 5.1?
Didn't do much. I posted it at the end of the day. It didn't do much. These imbalances when they're on non-third Fridays, non-quadruple witching, non-end of the month just seem to flip. And it was a huge sell imbalance, and then it flips. I don't know if they game them or if there really is, a huge seller and then they just turn into a buyer. I don't know. I think a lot of it's game, to be honest with you. And it sold off when it posted, it was 187, and then when 186, 185 and out, and then they turned around and it flips. Of course it flips. So it's hard. The imbalances, you know what? You almost got to ignore them unless it's the third Friday or the end of the month, because then they could be real. And if they're not trending with the imbalance, then they're fake for sure. Because I don't know, years ago, these things were all real, but everything seems like it's a game now. And I don't know why the imbalances flip so much, but they do.
Okay. All right. Lead us here. We got, I guess, start with the FedEx delivers, as you said. Good report. Give us that report. And what else they got up their sleeve?
Yeah, so FedEx announced reported earnings yesterday after the close. And, we talked about it on the show, but for a while, FedEx's earnings have been seen as a barometer for the overall economy. Gives you some insights into the health of the economy. You see how many people are buying goods. EPS came in at $5.41. That beat the estimates by 4 cents. Sales came in at $22.1 billion, which beat the estimate of $22.5 billion. So you had slight beats on EPS and revenue, but then the company started announcing some increased cost-cutting measures, which the market seemed to really like, and a $2.5 billion buyback. So I don't think it was as much the earnings for the previous quarter, but for some
All
of
the
these,
other stuff.
all the other stuff. It was all the other
Should
stuff.
have announced a split. Then it would have went up for sure, like nonstop. There would be no turning back. But
I don't know. Chipotle tried that, and it opened up. It's set to open up like down 97%. Google told me today.
Chipotle is trading post split here. It is the adjusted close. So yeah, if you're long Chipotle, don't panic. You know, a lot of your platforms probably have it wrong. Their reorg departments are more to be desired. But Chipotle adjusted close is $65.66 after the 50-for-1 stock split. So it is actually trading up 13 cents here this morning. Bringing it back to FedEx. They do deliver. Holy, that is a move. I don't know what the expected move was. Chat, you can help us out. I'm too lazy to look it up. But I mean, it's got to feel like that's outside the expected move range. I don't think anybody's expecting a 37-point rise here in FedEx. And if you would have told me, Joel, that FedEx was going to be up 14% and NVIDIA was going to be rallying, you know, and everything, you know, a lot of other tech stocks doing pretty well here this morning, and that the S&P would be flat, I'd be like,
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. We've been working too long together because we sold off a little bit after, you know, the close from the high, and it was a nice sell off, and I, you know, took a small long, and I'm thinking, oh well, if FedEx does well, this thing should rip.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there, and
yes.
I'm like, no. And it kept on announcing things, and then I said that to you, and you go, I just tweeted that, and I go, well, watch them jam it overnight. You know, take the market up overnight. That's exactly what they did in the S&P.
Show the SPY chart.
Yeah, the SPYs were just like crickets. It was just right in this time, right here. Yeah, right here. We don't.
It would not move on FedEx. Like they don't care.
They didn't
like
care
years
at
ago.
all.
Joel, me and you, because we're too old, years ago, FedEx was like the barometer for the entire market. And if you saw FedEx go, you know, miss earnings and go down 10%, the S&Ps would be instantly down like 1%. Like, boom, like hit
10
hard.
handles. Like
10 handles at least. You know, maybe 20 handles. Like, just like that. Poof. On the, you know, on the algos. And here you have a huge beat. Supposed to be a barometer for the, you know, the full economy. Here people delivering stuff, and they just don't care. It shows you how much the S&P has changed. Like, this is an article in itself. This proves that the S&P is simply just gone to just being tech. You know, the indexes are all made up of tech stocks, and they don't even care in the least that FedEx beat. It didn't even sniffle. It couldn't move. And I was like, I was jaw-dropping, unbelievable that they just did not care about FedEx. I thought this would bail out, you know, a whole pile of companies here. But nope. It's not a tech stock. We don't care. We don't even look at it. That's what the algos say.
Well, I'll just give you the price action here. Congratulations. Anybody took this into a long. I think I don't have my bearings here, but I don't know if it was last week or this week. They said the financial engineering, you know, they've been cutting costs and stuff. And I think there were some more cost measures included in that. So, you know, is this a quality beat, or is this like, hey, you know, we're firing people or whatever? But I'll just give you the pre-market high, and the pre-market high or after hours high is 298.98. So it's above my question marks here. This is where we're at, folks. This is where we were. This is where you're at. I'll say, I'll give you the pre-market high. I'll say, watch the open. And if you have a 290 plus target in this, wow, you got a good. Don't miss it. I'm not saying it's not going to 300, 310, 330, 350. And I'm not saying it's going back down to 270. I'm saying if your target is between 290 and 295, whoo, man, oh man. And I'm buying, as far as buying this thing goes, oh boy, I want to do that with your money. But use your target, baby.
It's just so many conversations here, and I know we can talk individual FedEx, you know, what it means for FedEx, but just that the stock market, like S&P, doesn't move on it at all. I'm just in shock here. I'm absolutely shocked.
Me too.
I don't, and it's not catching up. And it's not like it's delayed reaction, and we're 12 hours after the report, or even longer than that. You know, we're talking about, you know, 8 o'clock here in the morning. So, you know, from 4 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
So it's 16 hours after the report here. It isn't going to rally on FedEx. Now we can see that. I thought that maybe it's a little delayed reaction. Maybe they're going to start buying it up. No, they just don't care. They find other reasons to sell too. They find other stocks to sell. That's it. So, I mean, we're just at this point where it's tech, and that's all that seems to matter. So, FedEx, if you're a FedEx shareholder, I mean, this is a stock that is notorious for having big moves on earnings and then fading. So, I mean, we saw it last quarter. Just even go, the proof is in the pudding here. Go to last quarter. You had the big gap up from 260 to 290. Where are we? 3 months later, gave it all back. So I think this is just not the stock to chase. So I would not be a buyer up here either. Certain times chasing is working. Certain times chasing is not working. This is not one of those stocks to chase.
And you did have some analysts come in this morning on FedEx. You had Goldman raise its price target to $333. This is interesting, though. Morgan maintains equal weight on FedEx, raises price target to $215. So a very wide spread there between the $333 price target and the $215 price target. And then you also had B of A, Bank of America Securities maintains buy on FedEx 347. So again, big spread there in some of the analyst calls this morning. Let's go over to Rivian, our other big headline from after hours yesterday. So we had talked about Rivian on this show basically and said, if Rivian can survive this interest rate cycle, then it becomes interesting, but there's a lot of questions about its ability to survive. Well, now it just got a lifeline, a $5 billion investment from Volkswagen to help Rivian produce some of these EVs. I mean, Rivian was trading at like a $10 billion market cap yesterday, around 12. So getting a $5 billion investment, that's almost half your market cap right there. Stock trading up. It was up at one point yesterday in the after hours, like 60%. Now it's up 40%. But the past 2 days, really, I mean, if you look at the chart, it had been perking up to the point where I was looking at the chart yesterday. Did people know this was coming, buying the stock so much the past couple of days?
No. People didn't know nothing. Tongue in cheek, I'm saying.
It was so I know you look at that, but it was actually, I believe, go to your pro, I believe there was an upgrade.
There was an upgrade. Yeah. But it was perking
up.
There's
a price target or an upgrade. I'm going to look. Because I looked at that chart too, and I was like, holy crap, there's this thing going straight up into this. Did they know? And it is, but I think there was a rating or something. I'm trying to find the benefit of the doubt, because I did the exact same thing you did, AB. I looked at this and jaw dropper, and I was like, who knew about this? But Guggenheim did initiate coverage with a buy rating yesterday morning with a price target of 18. That analyst now looks like an absolute genius because it hit his price target last night in 1 day. But that was really the catalyst. It kind of kickstarted it yesterday morning, and it just didn't look back. So I think that's why the stock was trading higher. So I don't think it was, people who had the scoop ahead of time here. But I mean, if they did, holy man, that would have been a lot of money they made. It's just go.
I was just gonna say, and again, I was kind of tongue in cheek. I don't think people really knew the exact news, but it's kind of like reading the tea leaves. You can see like, oh, this is perking up. Like, I wonder what's in store, and then boom, this happens. But there was someone, I saw this on Twitter yesterday, that bought $50,000 worth of calls for 20 cents each. So $50,000 investment. It was when Rivian
what strike was that?
$13 strike that expired this Friday, I believe. So yesterday, when Rivian was at $18, someone was doing the math and said it'd be worth $2 million position off 50,000. But I don't know if that's changed now that Rivian's given up a little bit of the games. I can try to pull up that tweet real quick.
In any regard here, congratulations to the longs. It's a big vote. It's a huge vote of confidence. I don't know. Again, I don't like chasing stocks. I'm definitely not going to chase something. It's just not in my blood. But I'm not going to chase something up 40, 50% here. But it is a huge vote of confidence, and it is huge news. And last night, it felt like it almost wanted to go to $20. It almost hit 19, Joel. So it has come off substantially from where it was. But, we talked about this stock before. I was like 12, 13. I was like, I kind of like it. It's obviously continued to leak. But I just think, I don't think they're all going out of business. I think we're going to lose a lot of them. But I was like, you got Tesla, which is clearly number one. of pure EV makers, that is, and then, it's going to be like Rivian. Looks like they're going to be number 2 on just pure EV. Now, I know they're not number 2 because there's a lot of companies that are above them, but those companies are gas, car companies, like traditional car companies that are above them. Of the pure EV stocks, there's Tesla, and then Rivian is number 2 out of the pure EV stocks. Now you get a $5 billion investment from a huge company here in the automotive sector, and that's like a lifeline for a long time. So I think anybody who was banking on this going out of business, and there was a high short interest here too, now you're like, oh crap, they're not going out of business anytime soon, because that is a huge amount of money and a huge vote of confidence.
Yeah, pop 1888. You've backed off that level. That was your after hours high, right? I believe that was. Yep. Yep. Just going in the close last night, and then currently trading at 1683. Boy, that pre-market high to me looks pretty safe for now. I'm not gonna make any proclamations as far as walking on my hands downtown. I think this.
He got scared that last time.
I just kind of like this area, right? I think if I had a long and I missed the pre-market activity, I'd be looking at all these tops that we had around the $17 area. And I'd say, okay, yeah, well, I could have sold it above 17, 18, almost 19, but I'd see where they're nibbling here around the 17 to 1720 area, where to buy this once again, if you're good with short-term charts and figuring these things out. But if you get like a 17 open and you rally like the 17 and a quarter, 17 and a half, and then you come back down through that level, I mean, monster volume trading. I mean, the market's totally believing this. So I'm not saying it's a flat out rip-roaring short opportunity, but holy mackerel, you got to be thinking if you're long. If it could hold in today, I'm not even talking about closing here. Even if this could close, 15 and a half, 16, and then build the base, then you have a case for another move up. But just man,
the trucks are really cool too.
They are cool looking.
They are nice. Like compared to the Cybertruck, there's no comparison. Like I saw one in the parking lot. I was walking with my wife in a parking lot last week, and she looked at the truck. She's like, "What is that?" Oh, that's a Rivian.
I saw
She's like, that looks awesome. I'm like, they really, just out of she didn't even know of She's like never heard of Rivian. But I mean, she's on stock market, and they're not around. But there was one, I forget where we were. I think we were in Barrie, but it was like in the parking lot. I was like, they're cool trucks. But here we are, like we're at a point here where on a stock like Rivian, where there's a lot of people just got money put on that EV is not coming anytime soon, and all these companies are going out of business. What was the short interest on Rivian? Like, look that up there too, AB. I mean, you're squeezing some shorts here right now too, and the vote of confidence that they get, I don't think this is one that just fades and gives it all back. I actually would be looking for a level to buy this thing for a trade here, leaning on something. Maybe you're leaning on the low of the pre-market, like the not after hours, but the pre-market low, which is around 16. Maybe you're looking, 15 was old resistance. Maybe that can become new support, but I don't think you're going back down 16, 14, 13, 12. I think it's a different story here now, at least for a while here, because now they've got a huge amount of cash to work with. They're still burning cash, to Spinner's point in the chat. But, I just got done saying I don't like chasing here, but this one has me interested, not necessarily chasing, but finding a level here, because we have pulled back from where we were last night, almost at $19. I think you could find buyers at 15 to 16.
Yeah, well, and who you'll find is some people that got had no position on it, got a short off at the astronomical level, and they could care less if it ever goes back to $12. I mean, there's going to be, if you don't think there's going to be buyers out there way ahead of that gap, I think you'd be
there is.
Yeah,
and there are some people. Did you find the short interest, AB?
Yeah,
Did you look it up?
The short percentage of the float right now is 18%, or it was at close yesterday, 18.5%.
Some people getting hurt here. Some people getting hurt here. Even others. So does this kickstart a run in EV? All the little EV makers. Lucid's trading up 7.2%.
I was going to say the opposite. I was going to. Lucid is trading higher, but I was going to say that I wouldn't be surprised if you have some Tesla investors going to buy some Rivian. Well, it's kind of like polarizing. I think a lot of Tesla investors don't like Rivian and vice versa. But again, to your point, Dennis, I mean, the truck comparisons, right now there's just no comparison. I've been seeing a lot of. I mean, they just did some recalls on the Cybertruck. I saw a video on Twitter yesterday of a Cybertruck like accelerating into a house, and they said the Tesla's. So the person was trying to brake. The back wheels of the Cybertruck were stopped, and it still kept going on the street, went into someone's house.
Oh,
and
wow.
Tesla's response was, the brake may not disengage the accelerator. And it's like, well, wait, wait a second.
Well, we don't want to hear that.
No, here. Let me pull up the tweet real quick. And this is all like, this is just from Twitter. So I'm not allegedly. I have no clue what. So here's the video. This Cybertruck is like going up this street. You can see it trying to stop when it gets halfway up the street, but it keeps going, takes a right into this house, and then Cybertruck accelerated unexpectedly. In fact, the last 50 feet, the back wheels were locked up, and it still wouldn't stop. And then people in the replies, I was going through it. My favorite part was Tesla's response that applying the brakes doesn't disengage the accelerator. That's been a requirement of basic cruise control since the 90s, if not earlier. So I don't know. Like, it seems like the Cybertruck here has been.
It's saying user error. When you run into a house, it's usually user error.
Yeah.
And until we go full autonomous, I'm going to user error on that one. Yeah, how many of these videos are real too?
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know on the internet anymore. People post because they just want to get hits, and they make stuff up too.
Well, they said that Tesla had a response to this incident. So if Tesla responded,
well, somebody said that they responded, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, look, have you seen this Volkswagen chart? Holy mackerel. Look at that thing over the last couple weeks. That thing's gotten absolutely, look at that. They walked it down from 15.5 to $12 and trading lower. Have you ever driven in a Beetle, the original Beetle Volkswagen? You ever been in one of those?
My mom used to have one.
Really?
Years ago. My mom, my dad.
Those things were cool.
My mom still talks about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. The original ones. So I remember even my one buddy in high school had one, and he just zip along and they do donuts and the thing. They're really fun. Yeah. Telling those stories. So when I was referring, just taking you all the way back, I was not referring to Tesla getting a kickstart off of this. I was referring to like the smaller companies, because this, if anything, to your point, AB, is more competition for Tesla, because if you think Rivian going off the board, then there's no competition. The Rivian's not going off the board anytime soon. And actually, Stiefel recommended a buy rating on Tesla yesterday, and Tesla was zipping up a little bit on that rating. And then this news broke on Rivian, then Tesla started selling off on the Lucid news. So to your point, I don't think this is great news for Tesla. I don't think it's I think it's more of a nothing burger for Tesla, to be honest with you. I don't think they're scared of Rivian whatsoever, but I don't think it's kickstarting a rally into Tesla. Well, who I was referring to is like Lucid, and who are the other ones? Like Fisker's gone.
Yeah, even
who are the other small ones? Like XP, isn't XP EV one of them? Or
XPeng, yeah.
Is that around still?
What about Neo? Like Neo, does it get any interest going? It's just been an epic disaster.
How about Ride?
So that's still around? Ride's gone, Joel.
Yeah.
Ride's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, like our buddy Marcus there. I hope he got out of the ride. I do hope he got out of the ride, because we asked him actually back on the show, if this thing went to $1, what would you do? Because I hope he got out.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got the Rivian news, FedEx. Those were your top two headlines. We've got a few more. Let's go to Carnival Cruise Line's earnings before we get to the Whirlpool news. So Carnival.
All these stocks are gone before. Solo. Workhorse is still there. It's up 4%.
Is it really?
Workhorse is a Money
still
Mitch pick. And you know what? Money Mitch did really well with that for a very long time. It was one of his, that thing went from $3 to like $50 on Money Mitch. So I mean, on his, he made that call and it did that.
Wasn't Kenny on it before it was Workhorse? Didn't it have
I don't know.
a different name?
Kenny is all over those small ones too.
Was one
Kenny,
that
like we're talking, is
yeah.
Kenny makes a great call. He likes all this little stuff too. Like, I don't know this stuff as much. That's why I asked the chat, who are the other small little EV makers that are still out there? I automatically thought of Lucid, but then I'm like, there's hardly any. So they're all gone. Fisker, they're already just quietly. A lot of these companies have went off the board. Ride, Fisker,
Hillian.
Is Hillian still there?
Yeah,
it's still there. It's a buck.
What
was Hillian? Hillian wasn't making cars, though, were they?
I think
were they batteries? What was Hillian? I don't even remember.
I think it ran on hydrogen.
Yeah, hydrogen trucks.
Yeah, Spanish.
Hydrogen trucks. And then Solo was there. Okay, so the ones that are still there, VinFast is still there. VFS, that one's still there. That's trading up a big 1 penny on this. Okay, so it doesn't look like it'd be much of a sum of the union. Lucid's actually trading up a little bit. I tried to trade the Lucid on a little bit there. Nicola's still there?
Yeah.
Nicola. $9.40, but I think it had some reverse splits in there. Yeah, unfortunately it did. The all-time high on Nikola is now $2,819. So they did a few reverse splits after the push the car down the hill incident. This was fun exercise. Next.
All right. Well, Carnival Cruise Line, kind of old news at this point. They reported yesterday before the open, but it was after our show. So we'll go through that real quick before we get to Whirlpool. So EPS for Carnival Cruise Lines came in at 11 cents. That beat the estimate of a loss of 2 cents. Sales came in at $5.78 billion, beat the $5.67 billion estimate. And the stock, closed up 8% yesterday. So the market liked this double beat. I'm not seeing any buybacks or anything like that, but it was a good report. So cruise lines all got a lift yesterday across the board, whether you're looking at Norwegian, Carnival. And there was a big cruise ship in the Detroit on the river in Detroit yesterday. I'd never seen one like that down there.
Like a huge one?
A huge one, yeah.
Really? I didn't even know they could go through the huge ones in there. I guess they can.
Well, maybe not the biggest ones they have, but to me, it was a freaking big cruise ship. Let me try to think. What was the name of it? It was.
We have the Pearl Mist that goes through the Great Lakes. It's a fairly large, like for the Great Lakes, it's a fairly large one. I know it comes, all over the place that goes. So I don't know if it's a big white one, but it's not like the cruise ships. Like it's big though. It's like 10 stories high. It holds couple thousand people.
Was it the Boblo boat?
The Boblo boat. The Pearl Mist is one of them. I don't know. Great Lakes cruise ships. Let's just Google Great Lakes cruise ships.
I found it. First cruise ship of the season docks in Detroit. The 660-foot Viking Octantis.
Yep. I see it there.
Docked on the Detroit. So where is this Viking Octantis going?
It goes up to Great Lakes. It goes up, doesn't it? Doesn't it go up to Lake Superior? Yeah,
I think there's a few of them. So here's the list, the cruise ships. The Pearl Mist I know because it comes locally. So, you saw what was the name of the one you just said? Viking.
Yeah,
Viking
it was from Bergen.
That's a really cool looking one, actually. And then there's the Pearl Mist, and there's the Ocean Voyager, it's small looking. The Windstar Cruise Star Pride. There's I don't even know how you say this thing. The Hanseatic Inspiration. Man, where do they come up with these names? Weird names. But the one you're looking at looks very modern. It looks like it's brand new. This Viking Octantis. I'm just trying to see what year this was. New for 2022 Great Lakes Cruises right now. So just 2 years ago, this looks like this one came out. Only 378 passengers. So not that many passengers, but looks pretty cool.
Nice move. Very nice move in Carnival. We talked about the multiple highs at 17. It just didn't blink at 17. Got to 18. Flat here on the session today. I just say, let's see what happens. I don't know if was 18 the exact high yesterday. So I don't know if you have someone wiggling out at 1801 high, big volume. But I'd say maybe get a pause in the action here. Only one daily high at 1834. So it looks pretty wide open between 18 and 1850 if you can establish that 18 bid. RCL, best in breed, that just ripped off a new all-time high. The laggard even rallied a little bit. NCLH, that came up to an area of resistance too. So, wow, look at the difference between the Norwegian, Europe, and RCL. Holy mackerel. New all-time high.
Yeah, and the CCL numbers were good. Obviously, we couldn't cover them on the show yesterday because they come at 9:15. Why they want to schedule them at 9:15? It's probably the only company that does that. But
because they don't want us to talk about it on the pre-market prep
That's
show.
it, eh? Yeah. Well, we gave them some love. Look, you gave them some love. Can we talk? We got to talk NVIDIA.
I know you want to talk Whirlpool. You want to go NVIDIA?
Whirlpool. No, we got to talk Whirlpool because holy mackerel, is this a move for a stock that doesn't move? WHR AB, give us the headline. It's trading up 18% this morning. stock that had an 8% dividend yesterday and everybody thought was dead in the water, is all of a sudden back to life.
The headline is basically just that Reuters reported overnight that Bosch is weighing a takeover of the company. There's not really any details in terms of what number that takeover would be for. Again, it's basically it. You got that rumor, and that just had the stock.
Who's the rumor from? Who's the rumor from? I'm just curious.
It's got to be a credible source to be up that much.
Reuters reported it.
Reuters.
Yeah, if
Reuters is huge.
If Reuters or Bloomberg reports it, then
there's usually something to it.
That's good enough for me. I don't need to see more than that. But I didn't realize how big Bosch was as a company. I was looking at it earlier. It's like $1 trillion company, apparently.
No. Is it?
That's what Google.
I'm looking up the market cap of Bosch. How the hell do you spell Bosch?
I looked up Bosch.
BOSCH.
I looked up Bosch stock.
Market cap.
I was trying. Is there a
company? $1 trillion. Wait, what the hell is an INR? It's $1 trillion INR. What is an INR?
Oh, okay. So it's $1 trillion. Okay.
What is an INR?
Why does Google?
I gotta look up what an I. This is a slippery slope. What INR currency? What is that? INR is Indian rupees.
It's $1
trillion rupee company. So, and a rupee converts at 0. It's basically worth less than 2 cents.
Wait, why is Bosch listed in India?
So now we're getting it. Indian rupees. It's $1 trillion Indian rupees.
Okay, maybe this.
Okay, so how much is $1 trillion Indian rupees? Trillion Indian rupees to USD. That is worth $11 billion. That sounds better. Almost $12 billion. It rounds up, actually. So $12 billion company. That sounds right. $12 billion company. The Indian rupee trick. The Indian you had me going too there. The Indian rupee trick.
This is maybe my sign to not be reliant or not use Google Finance for this stuff, because you look up Bosch stock. It says 1.1 trillion. It doesn't say what currency. But then also what I was referring to earlier was when I looked at CMG stock today. Oh, they fixed it. Earlier it said down 98%. I was like, Google's probably leading a lot of people here, making a lot of people scared. But I guess, that's a lesson.
Google has Chipotle down 95%, and Bosch $1 trillion company.
Exactly. Yeah. Not what you really want to see there.
What's a trading at 34,000 Indian rupees?
Yeah, that sounds like a good.
Quick question for the chat. Where is Whirlpool located?
Is it in India? I mean, trading in
you got one in your backyard?
Oh, Whirlpool, not Bosch. Sorry.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be Michigan. He only does this. I'm going Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Nope.
Chicago.
Battle Creek.
We just said Michigan.
Oh, that's Kellogg.
Yeah, you're Grand Rapids.
You're going the
hot
right
or cold?
Way. You're going. You're getting warmer with Grand Rapids. You guys might
Battle Creek, not Battle Creek.
Kalamazoo.
You guys might not have heard of it.
Michigan City.
Mackinac Island.
Benton Harbor.
Oh,
we've heard it. You've talked Benton Harbor before.
Yep, Scooter Bill got it.
So let's take this back to Whirlpool and get away from geography, Michigan geography here. Whirlpool up 18% on a rumor. This is not a deal. This is a rumor. This is a stock that is the dog of all dogs. Like, if you look up dog in the stock market dictionary, it's got a picture of Whirlpool there. This stock has just been an absolute disaster for all shareholders. You get a rumor that Bosch going to buy their value, but it had an 8% dividend yesterday, Whirlpool. That's how much they hate this stock. They've run it down all the way to an 8% dividend. Now you get a rumor and they rally at 18% on a rumor. I would gather that even if they did the deal, I'm not sure the premium is going to be much better than 18 to 20%. I didn't look up the story. Maybe they said, a bigger number in there, but I am definitely, if I'm not chasing stocks, I'm definitely not chasing this rumor here. Even if it does come to fruition, maybe Bosch buys them, but then you've got the whole antitrust issues here. Like, we can't have, all the Bosch, appliances and Whirlpool appliances. It's got to get some antitrust look. There are so many reasons to sell this stock right now that I want to come in here. I don't own it. I want to sell. I think that's called shorting. But I mean, here we are. It was a joke, but I would say ring the register, take the money and run, because none of this might come to fruition. And even if it does, it may not pass antitrust. Not a fan of this dog being up 18%. I'd be a seller, my opinion.
Okay, it's hard for me to disagree with you on that one, especially if you had it on for a trade and you wake up, you say, holy mackerel,
My
105,
goodness.
105.27. So that's actually the pre-market high, currently trading around 103. I'm just going to look at that one daily high. I mean, if 105.27 is not good enough for you, your April 24th high, 106.33. That would be a sell zone for me. Don't wait to buy it. Wait, keep your eye on the ticker on this one. Dennis, what are you doing to the S&P? Let's bring Christian on, but what is going on here? We just got a steady leak here. We are now over 20 handles off that pre-market high.
All right, well, let's go ahead and see Christian's thoughts on this. We can talk some NVIDIA as well. So,
oh yeah, we haven't talked NVIDIA. 36 minutes.
A very, very.
We're trying to go the whole show without doing it.
A very, very special guest, Christian Fromhertz, who has helped me out and hopped in as replacement for me. But today it'll be both of us on the stream. So let's go catch up with Christian, give him our special pre-market prep welcome. Christian Fromhertz, founder and CEO of Trade Group. Christian, how are you doing this morning?
Pretty good, guys. How are you guys doing?
We are just going off the rails here, and we haven't even mentioned NVIDIA once on the show. So it's the first question to you, Christian, is going to be, what do you do with NVIDIA?
I mean, I think so far textbook, it's basically bounced on its 20-day moving average. And, this is the thing with, what I thought coming into this week, which is a little bit of a weaker week in terms of seasonality at the end of June, is that, you are seeing some rotations. But, once these things get a little bit cheaper, there are a lot of people who are still, waiting on the sidelines to get involved in this stock and waiting on the sidelines to get involved in some of tech as well. I don't think it really kind of changes anything, even though, we've seen this slim participation. I don't think it's areas like the small caps that are going to take over. I think that dips are going to continue to get bought in things like NVIDIA.
And I mean, like you had the big sell-off. NVIDIA retraced 10%, almost $400 billion, more than $400 billion taken out of its market cap. And then you see them coming just right back in and buy the dip. I mean, you're saying that you expect this buy the dip activity to continue, Christian?
I do. I think that not only in NVIDIA, but even something like Broadcom too. I think the dip is buyable here. It's kind of come in a little bit from the last couple of days, and I think things like this are going to continue. I don't think that this AI trade is going to just completely go away. So I think that you're going to see things like this, and I like this pullback in Broadcom from the highs after a really good earnings beat.
Got it.
NVIDIA is selling off right now. So if we just bring up the chart here, in the last 10 minutes, NVIDIA just lost $3. So I'm not sure.
I don't disagree with Christian very often here. And Dennis, you were spot on when we came on to the top. Was there news?
I didn't say it on the.
You didn't say it on the show. But we were talking pre-market show. He has the NVIDIA, bullish, bearish, super bullish. He said, I want us to sell this right now. Right now, I want to sell this. And I looked up the 50% retracement of that move, and it comes in at 129.40. That's exactly where it was trading at. So this was like, hopefully you get another shot on it. But man,
I don't know.
This is a textbook 50% retracement, 2 days. You want to project, another, that was, let's call it a $20 drop from 130. Your next objective on the downside could be 110. I'm not feeling to buy the dip. In the Broadcom chart, AVGO, I mean, this is too big of a gap. I don't care what moving average you put in there. I'm a buyer in 1,500 in Broadcom.
I don't know. Like I'm torn here because I have still a large position in NVIDIA, and I was just looking at it here. So this is what I was saying to Joel right before we started the show. I'm like, it's just bounced from like 116 to 129 a day. Just got the 50% retracement right back. I mean, if you think NVIDIA had a topping event back, you know, and I'm not saying it's the all-time high. I'm not saying, you know, this is it, but I just think we're at a point where it was way overbought, Christian. I don't think you're going to argue with that. It was way overbought. It needed a pullback here, but you just had the 50% bounce off that pullback here. I mean, if you're, you know, looking like a lightening it up, this is probably a good opportunity to do that. So do you think NVIDIA is making new highs by the end of the year? I'm of the camp that NVIDIA topped. I think we're at a point where, let's just say my opinion, and I'll ask Christian, but I think NVIDIA had its high for the next few months at 141. I do. I think eventually it's going to make new all-time highs again, because I just think the AI story is too early in it. So I think if you got a 10-year time horizon, you're not worrying about it. But I think if you're in this for a trade and thinking it's bouncing right back to 140, I don't think it is. But I want Christian's thoughts.
Yeah, I think that it could definitely. I mean, we've seen this stock consolidate, you know, in the past. You know, just look at this year, and you know, look at that period from March to April. So I think that there's a lot of hot money in the trade. I think that it does need to shake out some of the weak hands, and I think it could go sideways for a number of months. But I think it resolves higher, and I think that it could, you know, push out to new highs by the end of the year. I mean, we're talking about 6 months. But I also agree with your point here that it could consolidate for a little while, because it has certainly done that this year. It's given, you know, it's streaked, you know, it's trended for, you know, for a couple months, but it's also gone sideways for a couple months too. So I think both of those things are in the cards, that it could consolidate. You know, consolidation is kind of due a little bit, and especially when you have that type of a monster move, that's what stocks basically do. They sit and they digest, and again, it kind of shakes some of that hot money out of the trade. But I think the trend is intact, and you know, and with what Joel was saying with Broadcom, 1500, that, you know, to the gap fill, that kind of makes sense as well. I mean, that's just another $100 down. Keep in mind, you know, how fast these stocks are moving. This stock just a week ago was at like $1,815. It was over $1,800. So another $100 down does make sense to kind of fill that gap. But I think that's where you'll see buyers step in.
Yeah, I like the AVGO at 1500, and the valuation's more attractive on this one too. And you have the split coming. When is the split date, AB? This one's a ways out though, isn't it? AVGO? I don't think it's coming anytime soon. Chipotle split today. The AVGO one's pushed out a little bit, isn't it? Do we know? AB is going to get down in the background. I think it's a ways out. I don't have it on my calendar, so I think it's a ways out. Okay, AVGO split date. Hey, hang on.
Right.
I grabbed it fast. July 15th. July 15th. So it's actually not that far out. So it's not that far out. I like that. I like the 1500. I think if you get a shot on AVGO, I'm with Christian. You get a shot on AVGO 1500, I think I'll take that shot. Because then it could set up nicely to get the pre-split run too, maybe.
Right.
What else you looking at, Christian? Go ahead.
Another stock that's not getting that much attention in the semi space is Qualcomm. Qualcomm is making the chips that are going into all these like AI type laptops and computers. So, you know, Qualcomm, I think, sets up pretty nicely here too. This has had a nice pullback from about 225 to 200. And I think this is another one that could outperform for the rest of the year. So again, that's just the semi space. I think there's some other attractive areas too, but I do like the pullback in some of these names that we're starting to see, such as the Broadcom and the Qualcomm.
It's across the board, really. And I'm worried about the Micron earnings tonight, so I want to bring this to you here, too. And Micron is getting bid up ahead of the report. This is what they do. They buy the stocks. It's up $3 ahead of the report here this morning. But we had the big top, the double top put in there up at 157, and then the massive sell-off on the NVIDIA, really. You know, I actually argue that Micron started that. I argued that day that Micron was selling off before the NVIDIA. But, you know, it sold off $22. Now it's going to try to rally back into it. I think the quarter is going to be good. I think the quarter is going to be really good, but I think it could be a selling event, you know, because I think there's some nervous money sitting in a lot of chips here right now that are like, you know, they just watch NVIDIA fall 15% in a couple days. They just watch Qualcomm, to your point here, Christian, fall 30 points, 15% in 3 days. I'm long Qualcomm in the long-term portfolio. I've been long it since 60. I don't intend to sell my shares, but I don't like watching it fall $30 in 3-4 days. If I'm into that for a trade, I'd be a little bit spooked right now. So I think, you know, if Micron bails out those shareholders and gets a pop to like that 155, 160 area on earnings, I think there's going to be some happy sellers in there. What are your thoughts on Micron going into earnings?
Micron's a name that I just really haven't been participating that much in because I think that the memory chips are a little bit more commoditized. They don't have as much, so it's more just like straight up demand supply, and there's not too much differentiation from as far as I know.
Okay.
Micron, I'm not an expert in Micron, so yeah, I'm sitting on the sidelines with Micron. I'll be watching it because it'll be a mover either way for so many different names within the group. But I like some of the other chips that kind of differentiate themselves. Obviously, AI with what's going on with the little company called NVIDIA and and Qualcomm, which is also differentiating itself. So I'll be watching this one. Probably not participating.
What about just the overall market right now, Chris? I mean, you have the S&P 500 we were talking about this morning that isn't trading higher even after, NVIDIA at one point was up 2%. You had FedEx up 15%, and yet the overall market was lower. Do you have any thoughts on, what's going on with the bigger indices?
Yeah, I mean, it is a puzzling market, and I was listening to you guys to your commentary earlier, thinking like, "Hey, FedEx has a great earnings report, and it really doesn't do a lot for the overall market." I think right now, just there's pockets of strength, or there's pockets of areas that are seeing buy the dip, but it's certainly not in everything. Breadth has been a problem now for the last month, basically, and now that we're through quadruple witching, we also have a Russell rebalance on Friday. I think things are going to just continue to kind of be shaken up a bit, and it's not a buy everything type market. I like some of the aerospace stocks. A stock that I've been involved in for a while is FTAI. Now this thing is blasted off to the upside, but you kind of look at some other names, so this is another area that just people are not talking about. The ticker symbol is XAR for the aerospace ETF, but I also like names like AER. That's in here too, but I think that this is, forget about the airlines, but the names that are going in and making some of the components, they're seeing a lot of demand in the aerospace group right now. So this is another group, again, just trying to find some areas that are excelling. I also like what's going on in biotech right now. The healthcare stocks have been pretty quiet, but they've been waking up. We had a couple drug studies out this week that went positively and has really kind of gotten the group to look pretty good. This IBB chart, when you look at it on a weekly perspective, looks like it's trying to break out to new highs. So yeah, so I mean it's very close. It's been it hasn't been a very smooth chart, as you could see, the one in the top right. It's it's been back and forth as healthcare has been. Healthcare's had some strength this year, but it's been very streaky. So, but I do like what some of the top names are doing here, and I think biotech is something that could perhaps begin to kind of outperform going into the end of the year.
Let's see.
Yeah, there's that exit.
I know it's funny because the market's selling off, and the charts that you bring up with these with the
he finds the strength. Christian always he's a Momo trader, and he finds what's working. This is why we love Christian. Even when some stock charts start looking bad, he finds the good ones. This is why we bring him on the show, because he brings us the ones that go up no matter what. I like that.
He always brings these charts up that you look like they're high and they can't go any higher, and then they go higher. I don't know.
He's the buy high, sell higher trader, I think, aren't you, Christian? That's what you do. He likes the momentum, and he likes the strength, and you know what? That's a good way to be.
Christian, what's the catalyst behind these aerospace?
I think I've seen Joel put his hand over his face so far 5 or 6 times, which I think for my appearances is probably around the top. So that's pretty good. But I'll tell you, the IBB is not extended. Biotech stocks are not extended. Yeah.
Okay, IBB. Yeah. Okay, of course, this is what I could get into, because look at all those monthly highs there at 140, 141, gearing up for the breakout. That one, I like the setup there. I'm not sure what the catalyst to get a solid 140 bid, but that one I can see it. But I just looked at those other ones. But I'm talking like aerospace. Is that like the next frontier for war? I mean, where's the where's the catalyst? Where's the AI in aerospace?
I think it's a little bit of that. It's the combination of that, and then also if you've been to an airport recently, there's just no slowdown in terms of people traveling and so forth. So it's funny the way that this consumer that gets basically analyzed. There'll be one report that comes out that people think, oh my God, the economy is starting to crash, and then another report comes out, from the consumer, like what you're seeing, and what's the earnings name and FedEx, right? That basically shows that the consumer is doing quite well. So you still have a lot of doubt in here, and that's one of the reasons why I think that people are going to continue to travel. I think that also business travel stepped up a bit. So that's the reason why I like aerospace, is that both you're seeing from the defense aspect, and then also from commercial flights as well.
Well, there you go. Christian Fromhertz still willing to buy the dip here on. I'm with you, by the way, on NVIDIA. I think basically, if you've been in semiconductors for a while, you know that that there's prone to some big drops. But I feel like we're gonna look back in a couple years and be like, any dip on NVIDIA was a buying opportunity. Not investment advice, just my opinion. But then to your point, Christian, there are some pockets of strength outside the semiconductor industry as well. Always great to get your thoughts. Any final things you want to leave us with today?
Someone asked them about spot. If you could look at the spot chart for them.
Spot. Here we go.
I like spot.
Spotify.
Yeah, give us your technical take.
Spot's just been continuing to grind higher, and it's another one of those stocks that any dips in spot just continue to kind of get bought. So I think this is one of those internet stocks that's just, it's not, of course, like front page in terms of news every day, but it just continues to methodically grind higher. And I think it's a really good long-term hold.
Room up to 330 here. That's the pair highs back for June. So that's where you want to go test and then break above. But yeah, quietly crept higher. Christian Fromhertz, go ahead. Wrap it up there, AB.
Christian, before we let you go, do you mind telling us a little bit about this Tribeca product you've got going on right now, this 6-month trading edge?
Yeah, so we've decided to, between my trading room and also the indicator that I use, which is called the Market Webs, we have that on TradingView, and we're doing a year-end, last 6 months of the year or second half of the year special, where you can kind of bundle that along with the trading room. So we'll have more information out for that over the weekend, but there's a link there too for you guys. So yeah, look forward to the second half of the year. I think it's going to be a really interesting second half of the year. We've got the election and possibly the rally continuing until that time frame. So I think that we're going to continue to see buy the dip mentality, but not in every stock.
There you go. Stock pickers market. Christian, as always, thank you for hopping on with us on pre-market prep. We'll let you get on and have a great Wednesday.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, that was Christian Fromhertz, Tribeca Trade Group. So Christian mentioned, this is a good segue, Christian mentioned the travel numbers, which the TSA is projecting that ahead of the 4th of July weekend, that it will break the record for most travelers, which was recently set before Memorial Day. But then at the same time, you've got Southwest guiding down or adjusting its forecast, and Southwest, which flies in 100% Boeing fleet. Maybe, a little bit more impacted by this, but still, I mean, if the TSA is saying the most travelers ever, and you got an airline that's lowering its outlook, probably not a great sign here. So, Southwest not getting a lot of love this morning.
What was the pop last week or 2 weeks ago? What was it?
Activists.
Yep.
Activists
up 28 to 30. It's coming right back down here again. Is it Elliott too?
Yeah, I believe it was Elliott.
Yeah.
So Elliott's in here. That's a good thing that Elliott's in here. So that'll give you a floor around 26. I think you're going to get a floor around 26. That's where we bounced back in May. I know we cut through it in June, but I feel like you got an Elliott floor, an Elliott put in here to a certain extent. Not like Buffett, but it's pretty good. Elliott has a good track record. I hate airlines, man. I hate like this. I wish this wasn't an airline, and I would buy this dip here today just because Elliott's in there, and it has been a good call to chase Elliott. Not chase Elliott, but to buy them after they get the pullback. So the news comes out, and Love was 30. Now you're back to 27. You have the information that you're probably buying where Elliott bought. So, I mean, it's always good to be able to get in the price where Elliott bought. But, man, I hate airlines. And Southwest has just been an epic disaster for so long here. I've bought a little bit of that American Airlines. It is a disaster. it's tough to come in here just because it's an airline, but I think, this 26, you get a shot down at 26, I think you'll find support down there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're giving back half of this move right now from that 24.55 low to just over $30. Couple daily lows in this area. Another daily low down at 27. So, did get a spike under 26. Man, a thick stock like this, they knocked it down to 25.55. So, $2 off its pre-market low on the guidance, but let's see if things thicken up here 27 and a half over the next few days. Elliott back in there and poking around, but certainly not the news you want to hear. And as the overall industry is doing pretty well, just look at Rivian just kind of leaking just a little bit here.
15. 15.
Yeah.
Come to Papa. I might actually try it at 15 for a bounce. I like the 15 level.
Just real quick on Southwest. Maybe Elliott's going to come in and just say, "Hey, buy some planes that aren't Boeings," and that's their big, activist move that they push for, and it works out for the company. We'll see. Maybe gets a quick fix there for Southwest. All right, few minutes here left. We do have. Let's see. We've got Whirlpool. I guess we should.
We got Nike going to report tomorrow night. We haven't talked Nike yet. It has not really had a pre-earnings run here, probably because it's hate. It did for a couple of days. It was working for a couple of days, and yesterday it sold out viciously, selling, open at the high tick and basically straight down. Does it get the pre-earnings run? Does it get some love here today? I mean, the overall market is not looking healthy here. Here's the issue is, we're selling off. We got FedEx trading up 14%, and the market is selling off here. TLT not helping the spinner's point here. The TLT is leaking here, and that's got the small caps under pressure. But NVIDIA has leaked back almost all the gains overnight too. NVIDIA's touching, up to almost 130, 129 and change. And now we're at 126, so we're starting to leak here too. So that's got the market a little bit nervous. And Micron too was trading up over 145 and a half, 146, and it has leaked some back as well. So I'm looking at the board, and FedEx up so much, but there is a lot of stocks in the red here today. It's just, I would not have suspected this, and this market seems to always find ways to pull the wool over your eyes and do something that you don't think it can do. FedEx up this much, I would have thought the S&Ps would rally, and it's not the case, and you have to realize it's not the case. I tried to buy, and you did too, Joel. What you do. Here's a good trading lesson for you too. I know it's a long tangent here, but I want to just give a quick 1-minute lesson. Is if you're buying the S&Ps because you think FedEx has popped and this S&P should lift, if they're not lifting the first 20 to 30 minutes, it's telling you you're wrong. So I mean, and then all of a sudden, people who are still buying saying, well, it's going to lift, it's going to happen, it's got to happen, FedEx is up. It's telling you you're wrong, and they're going to sell their stocks to bring the market down. As a day trader, you want immediate gratification. You want to be right away. And if you're wrong right away, it means you're wrong. As a long-term investor, it's a whole different animal. And I've never mastered long-term investing. It's a difficult thing to do. But I'm pretty good at short-term trading. And when you're not getting immediate gratification, I loaded up SPY on that FedEx. And I'm like, it isn't going. It isn't going. You bought futures too. And you're like, it's not going. It went a little bit overnight. So it did make us a little bit of money. But then it's leaking it right back here again. This is a bad day for the market. It's actually a very, very bad sign that we're down 11 handles and FedEx is up down that much. And then NVIDIA's giving it back here now, and Micron is leaking the gains. I know Apple was trading higher earlier. It's still trading higher, so Apple's trying to hold the fort. But this is actually a really terrible tape right now for the market with as much good news as we've had.
And you know what it coincides with too? And I really was trying to be patient this week because you come off the quad witch expiration, right? And you always talk about, the reset of the options. And, I think CC alluded to the fact that a lot of the, the big boys, they'll buy the stocks and then they'll sell the, some calls, they'll put on some hedges. A lot of those hedges, probably came off. I don't know. I mean, the way, this is not only is this an important week, I think this is an important day. I've been trying to focus on that quad witch close from Friday, and that came in at 34 and a quarter. We had the close yesterday at 37. So it really, the bulls really to get stat. I mean, they're still in control, right? We're like 50 points from the all-time high. next couple days, man, we got to get back here to this 55-35 area and hold. Then I'll be convinced that the post expiration move is higher. But right now, just not, especially with that FedEx move today and yesterday, the big boys were holding us up. NVIDIA was ripping. Apple had a good day. Look what Google did yesterday?
I was just gonna say Google made new all-time highs.
Yeah,
and has quietly, been kind of like a leader in the space. I feel like it's kind of gone under the radar because people were talking about Apple and NVIDIA, but Google's right there. And so I think that's what you got to do right now is look at the leaders and watch their price action. Because again, like we've talked about the breadth for a while. The leaders might hold up, and then you have the other 450 companies in the S&P 500 not doing too hot. But if those start turning over, then I think we could get that pullback in the overall market, but still strong as of now.
I feel like we're gonna dump here. Like I feel like I'm not buying this dip. I'm actually very spooked on the market here right now. I feel like we've put in a short-term top. Not only on NVIDIA, but on the S&P. Like the 550 SPY.
NVIDIA just went red.
That's not good, man. It was up like
up 2%.
It was up $4. It was up like 3% this morning. When we started the show, it was up 3% almost, Joel. This is all in the last few minutes. Somebody said something. I just dumped. Like
I know. I feel that
here.
too, man. Hit that news button. I know, because I just looked and I'm just not seeing anything.
I think Kramer was talking about Micron.
Kramer just got on though. He only starts at 9. NVIDIA started selling off a long time ago, so it's not Kramer. Kramer starts at 9.
All right. Well, we end at 9.
This honestly, I'm just gonna say right now, if you're sitting on day trading profits here, this is just my opinion. I'd be getting out if you're sitting on day trading profits here. I don't like this market at all right now. This FedEx should have moved the market. It didn't. Something's heavy here today. I think this will be a really ugly day for the market.
All right. Well, that will go ahead and do it for us this morning. Take us to 9:02 a.m. Going a little bit over. We do have live trading starting up, and we've got a special guest on live trading, Sami Abu Saad, who's been on this show before from T3. Will be joining Zunaid over there, so that should be an exciting show. Joel, who do we have joining us tomorrow?
We're gonna dust off Kenny Glick. Kenny Hit the Bid Glick is going to get on the show tomorrow and be not only informative, but entertaining as well. So looking forward to that.
All right, there you go. Well, good show today, guys. Any final, Dennis just gave us his final thoughts that he doesn't love the market right now. Joel, do you have anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'd love to see us rent like the little simple buy off the open. I would love to see that back to like unchanged on the session. There's also a weekly number there. And if you want the key to the trap door on the downside here, you need that look no further than Monday and Tuesday's lows. They're right next to each other, 55.10, 55.11. Bulls absolutely have to make a stand there. That's only 12.5 handles away. So there's a look at the technicals on the S&Ps there.
There you have it. All right, guys, as always, thank you for tuning in to Pre-Market Prep this morning. Please smash the like if you haven't already. Again, live trading starting up right after this, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8
I'm selling the Micron pop, too. If she pops on earnings, I'm probably going to be
Dennis is selling everything.
Dennis is selling everything.
I'm not selling everything. I still have core long-term holdings, but I tell you, leaning towards the short side.
I am too. So, folks, buy your calls. We got a rip-roaring rally.
Yeah. You think every time you try to get bearish, the market goes up in your face. So
I know.
You use your own discretion here, folks, but I'm spooked.
Joel, you need to one night ship your Bears jersey that you wore for the draft to Dennis right now. And you could use FedEx.
That was Ryan's. That was Ryan's.
Oh, it wasn't yours? Yeah, you should. Yeah, that makes sense.
Bears.
I'd be upset if you didn't have a Bears jersey.
We can't talk sports.
Can't talk
sports. Oh, yeah, we got in trouble
sports
for that.
Ruined my life. I'm out.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow morning.